Ooh, something's happening. Yay!
Oh, yeah.
Yay! So basically all I've done is I've taken a photo of this lovely stand that I have that has a whole load of information, but I realised with Zoom it mirrors the image, so you won't be able to read it. So I've taken a photo.
I don't know. It says cleaner beauty.
Yes. Can you see the always free from list of ingredients there? Because we're going to be
just about. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you can't make it bigger, no.
Can you not zoom in? Okay.
No.
Well, it's just to give you an idea of some of the things that end up in our beauty products and our personal care products that I have spent probably about the last 4 or 5 years now cutting out of my overall lifestyle, which is why I use this brand called Tropic, because it is all toxin free, which is amazing. So I'm not going to talk about all of these today. I'll just stop sharing my screen for a sec. There we go.
Yeah. I'm
going to talk about 5 of them, and also actually something that is not on the list because it's not actually applicable to Tropic's products. So just to kind of give you an idea of my journey going toxin free, so I've always had really bad skin. It's always been really sensitive, it's always been really red, I've always had acne, and it's always been bad to exceptionally bad while I was growing up. So I've really struggled with my skin. And although I'd been looking at things in my diet to clean up, I hadn't appreciated, because of the way we use estrogen predominantly, especially as women in our bodies, just how big an impact all of the chemicals that we come into contact with on a daily basis, whether we are breathing them in, absorbing them through our skin, eating them in our diet, drinking them in anything that we are consuming. It really is fascinating to see how many chemicals we have around us, and even in our homes where we're using cleaning products that are really toxic to us. And I started going down a route where I wanted to cut out all of these things that were potentially causing me a problem, because I was having awful periods, my hormones were all over the place, my acne was flaring up because of the time of the month as well, and I was just absolutely miserable. My moods were terrible, my mental health was horrendous, and then the function of my different body systems was also being impacted. And I just had no idea how big an impact things in my home that I was using every day, that I was putting on my body, how big an impact they were actually having on my overall health and how I felt. So I want to start going through a few things today. And I want to start with something that's actually not on my list, but it's probably something that you've heard about recently. I think last year there was a massive push with bisphenol A, BPA, because it's used in plastic products. So it's used to create plastics and resins. So the biggest thing that it's in is water bottles. Any bottle that is containing a liquid has BPA in it. Now the companies are looking at this and actually swapping this out. So you will get specific water bottles that state on them BPA, bisphenol A free, and they swap it for something else that may or may not be as equally toxic, but certainly we're reducing the BPA out of things. So it can be in like one-use water bottles. It can be in a water bottle that you would buy to take to the gym. So you're using it multiple times, maybe having it for 4 or 5 years. And that potentially is going to have BPA in it unless it states otherwise. And it's in food containers. So most of our Tupperware plastic containers also have BPA in them. And when we look at canned foods, the cans are coated with a plastic which has BPA. And even till receipts get coated in plastic. So when we're handed our receipt in the supermarket, sometimes that has got plastic on it. and that has BPA in it. So we are coming into contact and using items in our homes and in our lives that have a lot of these plastics and therefore BPA in them. And the issue with BPA is it leaches out of the plastic, so we are absorbing it through our skin, or when it comes into contact with food, we're eating it. And some of the issues that it actually has been proven to cause are fertility issues. It messes with hormones, so it gives issues for men in terms of male impotence. It also can contribute to things like heart disease, so cardiovascular issues. It causes immune system issues, and anytime the immune system is mentioned, I'm straight away like, yes, gut, it's disrupting the gut. So I'm always talking about the gut microbiome and the balance between the good and the bad bacteria, molds, yeasts, parasites, viruses. It's going to be messing with that balance. So that definitely means that it's having an effect on the immune system. And then really interesting, when I was doing some research on this, it actually can add into neurological disorders. So it can lead to dementia, it can lead to Alzheimer's. So that's really key as we get older. So we're building up toxins in our body that actually it's contributing to disease that we associate with old age, and actually bringing the age that is affecting people forward. So people are getting neurological issues earlier in life because of toxin buildup in the body, specifically to do with BPA. So really quite interesting. It also can contribute to childhood asthma. So in childhood, we're quite sensitive to picking up issues. And one of the things associated with BPA specifically is asthma, which can then carry on into adulthood. So it can start causing problems really early on in life, as well as later on in life with toxin buildup. It contributes to metabolic disease. So because it messes with the hormones, our thyroid gland, which sits in the neck here, is the master of our metabolism. It keeps us going, it regulates all the chemical processes in the body and even our energy production. So it completely controls our metabolism. And BPA messes with that. It messes with our hormones for our thyroid and therefore our metabolism. It can contribute also to diabetes, to type 2 diabetes. So it can mess with our regulation of sugar in the body and therefore our production of insulin. And it's associated with particular cancers. So it's quite a nasty one. It can do so many different things. So specifically to do with areas in the body that are hormone related. So breast cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, and what's termed endometrial carcinoma, which we don't really hear about very often. So for women, this is quite a considerable environmental toxin to have. So what can we do to reduce our exposure to this? The easiest way is just to cut out our use of plastics. So using glass containers or stainless steel. Tetra Pak also create like the square boxed containers for milk and juice that specifically state that they're BPA free, which is great. You can also look, plastic containers normally have this funny little triangle symbol on them with a number that dictates the type of plastic that they are. So if you're using one with a little triangle that's got a 1, 2 or a 5 in it, they are BPA free. Just in case you start looking at the bottom of your plastic containers to see what's on them. But the main thing actually is to get away from convenience foods as well. Like actually eat fresh foods, cook from scratch with whole fresh foods that are not coming in plastic. They're not stored in plastic containers, plastic packaging. They're not in tins, so they've not got that plastic coating in the can. And the key when you're looking, if you've got Tupperware and you're storing food in plastic, is not to heat that up. So don't heat up food in your microwave in a plastic container, because that's just going to add in the leaching effect from the plastic into the food. So you're going to be eating more of any of those toxins that are leaching out of the plastic. And actually what's really interesting, and I am now going to have to stop doing this because I normally stick all my Tupperware in the dishwasher, found out that the dishwasher, through just the wash cycle, actually causes scratching to the Tupperware. And when you scratch the Tupperware, you're releasing any of the toxins in there, including BPA. So wash your Tupperware by hand. Don't put it in the dishwasher, wash it by hand. So I am going to have to stop doing that now because that was my go-to for a lot of my Tupperware. And also, if your Tupperware is already scratched, get rid of it. Get new stuff that is smooth and that anything that's in it is properly sealed into it, and review that regularly and get rid of any scratched Tupperware to stop that leaching effect into any food that you're storing in it. So it was really interesting actually finding out that you get micro scratches in the plastic in the dishwasher. And obviously, if you're handling lots of receipts, you come into the supermarket, you might actually want to wear gloves so you're not touching the receipts specifically, but wash your hands afterwards. Get any of that BPA off your hands so it's not being absorbed in through the skin. That's a really easy way for it to get into the body as well. So it's quite an impactful environmental chemical that we definitely want to be avoiding and reducing our exposure to. And quite a serious one in terms of how it can affect the body right through from childhood through to later in life. So BPA is definitely a big one. I then want to talk about phthalates. So this actually starts with a P. It's like phthalates. It's a funny one to say. It is on the list as well. Phthalates are a plasticizer. So they are added into products to give them flexibility. It allows them to be a bit bendy and not to crack, so the longevity is increased. And they're also used to hold in fragrances in products as well because of that plasticizing property of them. So these are found in lots of personal care items that have fragrance in them, and they're also in your plastic packaging because of this flexibility that they add to the packaging, and also things like air fresheners because of the scent. It could be in your vinyl flooring in your kitchen, in your shower curtain, and in mattresses that have like a plastic coating on them as well. So often this, for babies, you get mattresses that will go in the crib and they actually have a lot of phthalates in them because of the plastic coating on them. You also get tons of phthalates in toys because it stops them cracking, gives them a bit more durability and flexibility. So kids unfortunately have a real exposure to phthalates because of that. And it messes with our hormones again. So our hormone system is called our endocrine system, and phthalates are a proven endocrine disruptor. So that's all your hormones, from the ones that I've mentioned previously that are to do with metabolism, right through to your sex hormones, to your hormones that your brain uses. So all of those hormonal neurotransmitters used in the brain as well. So it disrupts every signaling molecule, because that's what our hormones are in our body. It disrupts that system so things don't function correctly. It also lowers sperm count in men, and it creates what's called developmental and reproductive toxicity. And I had to look these up because I wasn't actually sure what the definitions specifically of them were. So I'm just going to read them out to you. So reproductive toxicity is where an item interferes with sexual function and fertility. And then developmental toxicity is any structural or functional or alteration. And this could be something that is reversible or irreversible, so you're stuck with it once it's happened, that interferes with things like growth, homeostasis in the body, which is basically it all being in balance and working correctly, and anything to do with development and even your behavior. So developmental and reproductive toxicity are really key to survival of our species. And the issue with reproductive toxicity is that you can create developmental toxicity in your child if you have reproductive toxicity. So we can pass this on to the next generation. So it's really, really quite severe. So in terms of phthalates, again, going back to microwaving plastics, just don't do it, because again, you're releasing phthalates. They're not actually molecularly bound in the product that they are in, so they are very easily leach onto things. So whether it's your skin when you're touching them repeatedly, like toys with kids, or you're heating up a plastic container, because they're not molecularly bound, they come out of that plastic very, very easily. So reducing your use of plastics also reduces you coming into contact with them too. And then going fragrance free, so getting things that don't have any chemical fragrances in them, checking that ingredient list for anything that says parfum. It's just a complete unknown, and it might have a phthalate in there to bind it in. So going fragrance free for anything that is synthetic, or just going completely natural, which is why I use a brand, Tropic, in order to do that, because I don't have any phthalates in anything, and we don't have any chemical fragrances. Any fragrance comes from essential oils, so it's all natural fragrance. So I don't have to worry about phthalates in my skincare, whether it's my moisturizer, my cleanser, my toner, or any of my makeup. None of it has fragrances that also have phthalates. And then now that we're getting into some sunny weather, I want to talk about parabens. So parabens are a preservative, and these stop specifically bacterial and mold growth in products. And they're found in many things, but most people will know them for their presence in sun cream. And there's loads of different types of parabens. So you'll get things like butyl parabens, propyl parabens, isobutyl parabens. Anything that has the word parabens in it is a paraben. And it's also found in foods, so you can get it in beer and some soft drinks and things like jam and pickles, because it's a preservative. So it's really actually key to check this is in. I think in America you get it in a lot more foodstuffs than we do in the EU. The EU has much tighter and stricter regulations as to what things can be in foods. But you can also get it in things like frozen vegetables because of that preservative element to it. But sun creams, oh, so many sun creams still have parabens in it. It's amazing how many sun creams still have parabens in them. And then things like your moisturizer, makeup, toners, shampoos, your palettes of makeup as well, because it has that antibacterial, anti-mold property. And it's really, really bad for your hormone system. So it mimics estrogen in the body. So that can cause a whole host of hormonal imbalances, a whole host of hormonal problems in terms of monthly cycles and how estrogen supports the body. It contributes to breast cancer. Parabens has been known to be in things like breast cancer because the breasts have a really high amount of estrogen in them. So anywhere again where estrogen is produced or gathers in the body, you also can have a high amount of parabens gathering there too. And again, it produces this developmental and reproductive toxicity, but it can also cause allergies and immune toxicity. So again, it taps in with the immune function and therefore obviously gut function too. So the best thing is just to avoid them. Check that ingredient list and avoid parabens of any kind in your products. And try, again, eat whole fresh foods. So yeah, natural products like Tropic will not have any parabens in them, so you don't have to worry about it. Even their sun care range, no paraben preservatives in it whatsoever, so very, very safe. And then SLS, so sodium lauryl sulfate, Sulfates are added because they're foamers. We touched on this last week when we were talking about toothpaste. They give that kind of frothy feeling. So whether it's a shampoo or a toothpaste, they are a natural or a chemical foaming agent that is added to a lot of things. And it's also in cosmetics, so you'll find that it's in foundations, moisturizers, etc. too. It's actually a proven skin irritant. So for the fact that we put it on our skin so much, it's actually a proven skin irritant. And it strips, part of that, the reason it is a skin irritant is it strips out the natural oils out of the skin. So it can cause skin issues as well as creating red and inflamed skin. It dries your skin out. So it can cause a huge number of issues with dry skin, cracking, flaking, and it can also clog your pores. So if you're having a bit of a breakout and you can't kind of maybe see a particular issue, it might be because of the SLS in your facial product. And it can also, when you breathe it in, irritate the lungs. So not only if you've got it on your face all day, are you absorbing it in through your skin, it's potentially irritating your skin, but you're also breathing that in, and it is potentially going to be irritating your lungs too. And if you're allergic to it, it has a really nasty skin reaction. So it can cause really nasty blistering on the skin if you're actually allergic to SLS. And interestingly though, a lot of products have swapped out SLS for something called SLES, so sodium lauryl sulfate instead of lauryl sulfate. So it's SLES. But what's quite interesting with this, it doesn't have the same skin irritation or lung irritation properties. However, sometimes when it's made, there is a part of the process of its manufacture that actually creates a carcinogenic factor to it. So although it's not as irritating to the skin, it can cause cancer. It's been proven to cause cancer, SLES. So I would just recommend avoiding both where possible, especially if you have sensitive skin or sensitive lungs or you're prone to any breathing issues. The SLS and SLES are actually not going to be your friend. So definitely one to have a look at the ingredient list on your products. And then I want to touch on oxybenzone. So going back again to looking at sun cream specifically, oxybenzone is something that's added into sun creams because it is what absorbs the UVA rays. So it's actually the thing that's added to the sun cream to give you a chemical sun protection factor. But again, it majorly disrupts our hormones. It absolutely messes with our hormones. There's varying research on whether it does or does not cause cancer. If I'm applying it to my skin on a regular basis, or even on a daily basis, if you're using a product with a sun cream, a sun protection factor on your face, I don't want to be putting that on my face every day. Definitely not. And the reason it may or may not cause cancer is because it is linked to causing cell damage. So I would say if it's proven to cause cell damage, whether there's some research saying it doesn't cause cancer and some research saying that it does cause cancer, I'm going with don't use it. And the big thing over the last few years for oxybenzone is that it's really toxic to the environment as well. So if you have it on your skin as a sun cream and you're in the water, in the pool, in the sea, it's washing off your skin and into the water, and it kills marine life, it kills coral. And there's been certain places in the world, such as Hawaii, that have actually banned this in sun cream. You are not allowed to use sun cream containing oxybenzone in it anywhere in these places because it affects the marine life and it kills coral reefs. So really, really interesting that it's now being looked at as something that is not good for the environment as well as human health, and therefore it's actually banned in certain places. So if you are looking for a completely oxybenzone free sun cream, Tropic does an amazing range. They launched additional products this year in March as well that have both a mineral sun cream, so that's one that sits on the surface of the skin, as well as a safe chemical one which is absorbed into the skin. and it's given a whole new certification called Protect Land and Sea, and it's been independently tested to show that it does not harm the marine environment, it does not kill coral. So if you did go to any of these places that oxybenzone is banned, Tropic Sun Cream is an option because it's been proven not to have any of those awful effects on the environment as well. We've just got a couple more minutes left. I want to touch on triclosan before I open up for questions. So triclosan, again, going back to what we were talking about last week and toothpaste, it's an antibacterial and an antifungal. So it's often added into personal care products such as toothpaste, such as soaps and detergents, but it's also in toys. It's in toys because it prevents the bacteria or the fungus growing in the toy, in the plastic. And also it can be part of cleaning products and treatments, and even those that are related to hospital activities, so surgical cleaning procedures can involve triclosan because of its potent antimicrobial properties. Which then just means it disrupts your hormones again. Everything disrupts hormones, everything messes with our hormones. And it weakens that immune system. So there is that immune system gut interaction again. So your gut bacteria, your good gut bacteria, are not going to be happy having to deal with triclosan because it's going to kill them, because it's antibacterial. It's going to kill off the bacteria that you're trying to cultivate in your gut to give you good health. So it's not great for your gut microbiome at all. And again, it's something that has been linked to the creation of childhood allergies, childhood eczema, and the increased risk of getting asthma. So that, I'm sure, is all because it ties in with your gut microbiome and therefore immune function. So in allergies, eczema and asthma all have an immune system interaction. So I'm sure it's because it weakens that immune system that that kids can get these issues. And it also is involved in uncontrolled cell growth. So it allows the proliferation of cells in your body. And to me, that just screams that it's a carcinogen. It's got carcinogenic properties because it allows uncontrolled cell growth. And if your immune system's not able to modulate your cell growth, that creates cancer. So if it is involved in uncontrolled cell growth, it most certainly has to be related to causing cancer. And once again, it comes back also to creating this developmental toxicity and this reproductive toxicity. So it affects your ability to have proper sexual function, to have proper sex hormones, to have proper fertility, and then all of that structural and functional alterations that can happen as part of developmental toxicity in the body. So these chemicals are life-altering, and you may think that, oh, well, I'm just coming into contact with a few of them. There's only some products that I use that contain these. But actually, when you use them over a lifetime, you build them up in the body. And this is really key, that for some of them, they're really potent and you don't need a lot to have an actual issue with them. But when we're building them up slowly in our body throughout our lifetime, and not just one chemical, many, like hundreds of different chemicals that are toxic to our function, we're building these up in our body throughout our lifetime. And that can definitely lead to disease because of all the really awful effects, whether it's hormonal, whether it's cell proliferation and leading to cancer, whether it's neurological. There's so many different things that can happen in the body to make it go awry. And when you're looking at these chemicals, there's actually some really simple things that you can do just to avoid them, so that you're reducing your risk, you're reducing that build-up in the body, what we call our body burden. You're reducing that over your lifetime so that you can have a wonderful quality of life when you get into retirement age, and that you're wanting to spend all of this time doing things that you have set your heart on. You want to be fit and well and have a clear head as well, to be able to do all of those amazing things. So yeah, there's lots of easy things that you can do to avoid them. Does anyone have any questions? I know that is a lot of information, but does anyone have any questions?
I have an observation though. I read the other day that daily we can be exposed to something enormous, like 100,000 different chemicals, just on a daily basis. Maybe not every day, but you know, over the course of a week or a month or whatever. That was a bit scary for me. I just hadn't realised it was quite so bad.
Definitely. And what we underestimate as women as well, because we use so many more personal care products and cosmetic products than men do, although that is increasing for men now, we are exposed to a lot more, even just within our morning routines. So where a guy might use maybe soap or a shower gel, a shampoo, a conditioner, and maybe something for his face, we're using maybe 3, 4, 5 times that number, depending on what our own routines are. And even when you look at personal care products such as sanitary products, they're full of chemicals and they're all white, so they've been bleached and just horrendous. I used to have awful problems. I used to, every time I was using tampons, I was like, why do I feel like I have a fever? Like I would use tampons and I'd be burning up. And it was all of the chemicals in the tampons that I was absorbing and then having to deal with. And my body was upping my temperature to start trying to get rid of these and burn them out. And I just thought, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So I had to then look at my sanitary products and what was in them, because I was having so many problems with them as well. So they're in things that we don't even think about them being in. It's really fascinating. But yes, as women, we are exposed to a huge number of toxic chemicals just in our day-to-day lives. And often because we are the ones that are also cleaning a lot more, we do a lot more household chores and cleaning than the men folk do. We also get all of that contact with the cleaning product toxins too. So it's really, really key to be aware of that.
I have to say, when it comes to cleaning, I've cut down. The only thing I use is I put bleach down my toilet, but I don't use any cleaning products. I use a cloths and a system called Enyo.
Oh, I've heard of Enyo, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just you get different cloths for different areas of the house, and it's basically just you use water.
Yeah, and it's fibre technology, isn't it? It's the different types of cloths. So some of them are really magic. They mop things up, remove
and they lift up stains and everything, you know, different types. So, and they have face cloths and everything as well. I mean, they're not cheap, but they last for quite a long time. And if you're cutting out all those chemicals, you know, so I have to say, I still need to put bleach down my toilet, but and my drains. But generally, I don't use any cleaning products. Even for dusting, you know, I just use these cloths for dusting.
Yeah.
I find bleach, Gillian, goes for my breathing. Do you find?
Well, I just pour it down and leave it and go away. But if, you know, sometimes I stopped using them because these sprays, you know, for cleaning surfaces and everything, and they would start making me wheezy. And that was when I sort of started thinking, I've got to stop using these, you know. So
what is the nice cleaning products we purchase, Claire, you know, with the lemon and the lime and the, you know, they get the little tub.
Yes, it's the lemon myrtle.
Really good.
Let me go and get it.
Yeah,
I just often will use vinegar, lemon juice, and sodium bicarbonate.
That's it.
You know, I use quite a lot of that. If my worktop, I've got a kind of granity worktop, and if I think that's getting dull, I just squeeze lemon juice and rub that all over it, and it shines it all up again. You know?
What's it called, Claire? Because it's quite good for
stuff.
Humble
stuff.
It's
a cream almost, and you can dilute
like
it into a spray bottle, and you can clean the toilet with it. What did I make up? There was a recipe online.
Oh yeah, it was like bicarb of soda, wasn't it?
And
and some essential oils.
and down the toilet, and that avoided
like
having to use
toilet bowl
bleach.
fizz.
And yeah.
Right, yeah.
The recipe was online. It was really good. Toilet bowl cleaner or something.
Right, yeah. Because
use
things like bicarb soda and white wine vinegar are supposed to be quite good, do you know?
Yeah, I use vinegar and water for all my glass in the house and window things.
I use it for my windows because that's what my mother always used.
Newspaper as well.
Newspaper. I know I don't have newspaper. I never buy a newspaper, so I don't have newspaper any longer. I just use my cloths. But I use vinegar on my windows.
Yeah, I use vinegar too. Or I have a gluten-free alternative, which is a kind of acetic acid style. It just smells like vinegar, but it doesn't have any gluten in it for me. And it's brilliant. And I just add essential oils, and it's fantastic. It's really great, and it cleans just as well as any like multi-purpose cleaner that's like luminous yellow in color. And mine's so cheap to make up and very, very effective. So yeah, some of these natural remedies for cleaning don't have all the fumes. You're not exposing yourself to all of those toxic chemicals. So it's so much better.
You know, why do we think there's much more incidence of cancer and things? Previous generations never used all that stuff. They only used natural stuff, you know, to clean the house and things, you know.
Exactly.
And you know, we're using all these plastics and all these chemicals, and then wonder why we're getting an increase in cancers and all that processed food. You know, people don't cook any longer.
No.
Yeah, and they're heating things up in plastic all the time, whether it's a ready-made meal in a plastic tray or they've put something in plastic.
I sometimes heat stuff up in the plastic, but I do at times think, I'm not very sure if I should be doing this, you know, so I clearly now will not.
No. And also I wanted to say about the sunscreen, Gillian, I know sometimes you have nice holidays too. The Tropic sunscreen is amazing. We've used it for 2 years, and we've been on ski holidays where you get the sun reflected up the snow, where we've been on really hot holidays to Dubrovnik, and it was 34 degrees, and nobody got burned with it, and it is a really nice sunscreen. I would just highly recommend it. And you know, if you're reapplying it, there's nothing, you know, bad going through into your skin. It's not going in the water, disrupting the marine life. It's fabulous. And I wear it during the day as well. When I'm out, I'm going to be out in the garden, I get a little rub on. Off I go, and it's really great. So a plug for Tropic. That is a really good product.
Oh, it's amazing. I've ordered myself a mini version of what's called the Sunday, which is one of the new products this year, because you get a mini version and then the full size, and it is a factor 50, but also a primer for underneath your makeup. But the mini one's great because it's handbag size, so you can just pop it in, and I cannot wait to try this. It is in the order that is currently winging its way to us. So yeah, I can't wait to see what it's like. But it's one of the new products. It's a combination of the mineral, so that it sits on the skin to protect the skin, and also the safe chemical which goes into the skin as well.
What is the safe chemical they're using?
Oh, I'd need to double check what it is now. I'll find that out and I'll let you know. But yes, it's all new this year. They've been looking into, because with the mineral sun cream, only, which you can still get, so you can still get the original for especially for sensitive skin, but it doesn't rub in quite as well, although I don't particularly find an issue with any kind of white like residue or anything on my skin, but I'm so white to start with. Whereas some people with darker skin were saying that they had this kind of white cast left on the skin after they'd rubbed it in, because it sits on the skin to give you that instant protection, whereas the safe chemical goes into the skin as well, so it just rubs in a little bit better, and then doesn't have that white cast on the skin, especially for darker skin tones. So I'm really excited to see what my Sunday is going to be. But they have their new sun cream is called Great Barrier, and it's really in honor of the fact that it's got this new certification that does not kill the marine life in the coral reef, specifically the thinking about the Great Barrier Reef, which is our amazing reef in the world. It does not kill that, so it's in honor of that. But you can get it in 3 different SPFs as well, so a 15, a 30 and a 50, so I'm always on the 50.
I never found
Brilliant.
a problem rubbing it in, and I never found
No.
it leaving any white because I'm quite pale too. But what I did find is it did sometimes take a wee bit rubbing in, but once it rubbed in, that was it.
Yeah.
I would rather have that than,
Well,
stuff on my skin.
I know, absolutely. Yeah.
I know.
Oh,
Well,
that's
really
some very, very good information. And my toothpaste or my tooth powder arrived today.
Oh,
So,
amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. Have you tried it out already?
Yes, I have. I have to say, my teeth feel much cleaner than they would normally. Do you know?
Just
so
takes a little bit of getting used to.
Just takes a bit of getting used to getting the powder on the toothbrush. And
I use a teaspoon and sometimes
Yeah.
a little teaspoon as well because there's still some stuff on it. So
I know. And then just, so I was doing that as well. Like,
you'll get used to the flavours of it. It took me a while. Now I don't notice it at all, the flavour.
I thought the flavour was okay. It's not quite as minty as toothpaste is, so it's fine, you know. I think it's...
Well, see how you get on with it. Less toxins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, remineralising those teeth, that's what it's all about. And resetting your pH.
I've got a couple of quite sensitive teeth that the dentist told me to just rub toothpaste. So could I just rub some of that powder on them and leave it?
Yeah, you could do and see what happens. Try and get it to remineralise faster.
I'll maybe do that as well. So I'll be interested to see over the next few weeks if it helps with the sensitivity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm just amazed how clean my teeth feel. Yeah, every day I wake up and they're still really, really smooth, no build up. It's just lovely.
I don't think I brushed mine yesterday till I went to bed, actually, to be honest. Because it just felt fine all day, so I haven't really thought about it, Anyway, try my best
if you don't need to.
this morning to do it. So
see how you get on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Claire. That was really informative again about all these nasty things we come into contact with.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah. It's been quite interesting actually just reading up and how it all really comes down to hormone disruptors. Like everything seems to disrupt hormones, and that's probably the key, because for our bodies to function properly, it uses signaling molecules. And what are signaling molecules? Hormones. So basically these chemicals can affect every function of our body because it disrupts that signaling mechanism. So it's really quite impactful, definitely. And I think I will even be double checking quite a few things just for me to make sure that nothing has slipped through my net at the moment.
And is there anything you would suggest that if you have had a dose of some of these chemicals that you could take or do to help you clear them from your bodily systems?
Yeah, well, obviously the first thing is to reduce your exposure. So if you know that a toxic chemical is in something, stop using that and avoid coming into contact with it so that you're not adding more into the system. And then it would be optimizing your nutrition. So that goes back to eating the rainbow, eating all the different veg, making sure you're getting your leafy greens every single day. And then that helps your good bacteria to grow and supports overall general health as well. And then if you were looking specifically at detoxing, you're probably going to be relying on your liver function and your antioxidants most. So in terms of your antioxidants, eating the rainbow is going to give you the widest variety of antioxidants from your diet. But there are things like N-acetylcysteine, which is a precursor to our biggest antioxidant in the body, which is
iron,
which you can supplement very easily with. And then you could potentially go down the route of supporting your liver function, and that can either be with glandular products, so that they come from beef or pork and actually give you specific features of liver to support your own liver, or you can do it through herbals, things like milk thistle, that just supports those detox capabilities. But you would only ever want to do that third detoxing step if you've reduced your exposure and you've got your optimal function in terms of your antioxidants and your vitamins and minerals coming in, because you do run the risk if you start detoxing that you're going to feel bad. And if your detox pathways aren't working properly and they've not got all of the factors that they need from your diet or supplements to be able to function properly, you're going to feel worse when you start pulling things out of the tissues and trying to detox through your detox pathways. So you need to support them first before detoxing. And people really forget that. Even when you look at having like a juice cleanse, you're forcing the liver to detox. And if you don't have optimal nutrition and good levels of your vitamins and minerals, you can cause yourself additional problems and make yourself feel horrendous. And you really don't want that. So the detox step, I would say, is the third step and not one to rush into straight away.
No, and I know from past experience what it's
you
like.
Got your Herxheimer reaction as well, so yeah, you felt horrible. So it can be severe, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but that is an individual thing, and obviously if anyone wanted to do that and you wanted to talk through that for you on an individual basis for your health and your personal circumstances and what's going on with you right now, I am very much open to that conversation if anyone wanted to get in touch to explore that.
Okie dokie. Well, thank you. My head's buzzing.
I know, I'm sure it is now. All those chemical toxins that you don't want to have in your body or in your home, definitely. If you've got any questions later, let me know, drop me a message. I'm very happy to answer any questions later on. It's been really good talking to you.
A lovely day. Have a nice day, everybody.
Yes, enjoy the sunshine.
Yes, see you soon.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.